Hi y'all, I'm Wendy. Welcome to Pajama Days. This is really for my children. I am gonna make cornbread today to prepare to make dressing. And when we were growing up, my sister and I, my mama did the whole shebang. She did the whole Thanksgiving meal. She cooked the turkey, she made the dressing, she did the sides, and she was a stay-at-home mom, and that was her love, her passion to take care of her family and to cook. I work full-time and I still love to cook for my family, but I don't do as much as I used to. But when I first got married and I needed to make cornbread, I would call my mama every time I needed to make cornbread. And one day she said, you know, Wendy, if you would write this down, you wouldn't have to call me every time. And I was like, oh, what a great idea. And it didn't take long until I didn't need to look at my notes. And eventually I learned by experience that cornbread is pretty forgiving. You can make cornbread without an egg. You can make cornbread with regular milk or buttermilk. You probably can make cornbread with water. I've never done that. But if you didn't have milk or buttermilk, you could probably make it with water. I know you can use mayonnaise if you don't have eggs or you don't have oil, or maybe both. I don't know. I don't think I've tried it with just mayonnaise and not egg and not oil. I have put mayonnaise in it before and it makes it a little softer. But I digress. I'm all over the place. But the main thing is I wanted to make sure I documented making cornbread in case my kids ever need the reference and I'm not easily available. The first thing I do is preheat my oven. Actually, it automatically sets to 350 and I want to take it up. I'm going to take it to 385. I know if you're making biscuits, they're a lighter product and you turn it up like 450 or so. When you make cornbread, you don't really have to go that high, I don't think. I could be wrong. But I usually do 375, 385 for my cornbread. Also, when I do something special like for Thanksgiving, this was my mama's. It's actually Tupperware. This was her mama's, my grandmother's. It's Tupperware. This was my daddy's mama's. And what I have oil in is too full for me to pick it up, but it was my mother-in-law's. So, got all the grandma's stuff helping me make my cornbread for Thanksgiving. If you don't know how to make cornbread and you need help, there's a recipe on the bag. Biscuits the same way. On a self-rising flour bag, maybe even a plain flour bag, there's a recipe on the bag. So, I need 2 cups of cornmeal mix. I prefer buttermilk. In case you don't already have buttermilk, you can use buttermilk flavored cornmeal. I used to buy Aunt Jemima, which is now called Pearl Milling. And when I was at Walmart last, they didn't have that brand. They had this, and it was the only one I saw with buttermilk already in it, so it's what I got. I usually try to price check and get what's cheaper, but if there's only one with buttermilk already in it, I'm usually going with that one. That is 2 cups of cornmeal that I am putting in my bowl. I'm gonna put this down here so you can see into the bowl. Well, there we go. Well, my goodness, some of that jumped out, but that's okay. I'll clean it up. I don't need that. So I have cornmeal, 1 egg. That's what the bag says. And fancy people don't break their egg open right into their batter. They actually do it in a separate bowl. I did not do that. I'm gonna wash my hands because I just threw that in the garbage. Okay, my mama always put some flour in her cornbread. The recipe on the bag does not call for flour, and I'm not gonna put much in there, and I should have put a little bit in there before I put that egg, but I'm gonna mix it all up. It's fine. I'm not gonna put much flour because I don't want it like cakey, but I really thought this would call for more than one egg, but it didn't. It calls for 1/4 cup of oil. This is my mother-in-law's little measuring spoon. Yeah, I'm not fancy. I just stick my fingers right in there. Oil clings and it doesn't all want to come out, so buttermilk. That was about 1.5 cups. The recipe calls for 1.25 cups. It's really okay to deviate some. And then I'm just gonna stir it up. I also usually start by greasing my pan. I have not done that yet. I will in just a second. You can always go by the recipe on the bag. You can vary it some if you want to. I personally don't like my batter this thick. So, and I even added a little extra buttermilk. So I'm gonna add either some more buttermilk or some water. It really doesn't matter what you do. If you're running low on buttermilk and you want to use water, you can. I'm also gonna grease that pan. I've already got oil on my fingers. That might could have taken 2 cups of buttermilk, I don't know. I also like to leave my batter sitting for a couple of minutes after I get it mixed. Seems like it gets air bubbles and makes it a little more fluffy or something as it settles. Kind of like pancake mix does. That's a little better. I'm gonna use my hand, getting out maybe a tablespoon of Crisco or solid shortening. It doesn't have to be Crisco. Years ago, I would buy lard occasionally from Kroger brand, and I quit seeing it. So, it's okay if it's a little streaked and generous. You don't want the cornbread to stick if you're serving cornbread, but if you're gonna make dressing, it's really not a big deal if it sticks some. I really don't want it to stick to my iron skillet. It used to be just for making cornbread, but my youngest child, who is still at home, likes to fry things in the iron skillet. So, it's not quite as, I don't know, smooth as it used to be maybe. I had to let my water get hot to get the grease off my fingers. When I start scraping my batter out of my bowl, I like to use a scraper because scrapers get it all out so nicely. This thing is very old and trusty. Trusty, not crusty. There's difference. Gonna put these up real quick. Who makes the dressing for your family? Or do you call it stuffing? Feel free to comment. Who makes the dressing or the stuffing for you? Do you make it or does someone else make it? Already my oven is preheated and probably not been as long as I want it to be to let my batter rest, but I'm gonna go ahead and pour it up and pop it in the oven. you see what I did? I made biscuits this week because when I make dressing, Mama always used a leftover biscuit or two. I've got a little bit of leftover cornbread that I will add to this later. This is smelling good already. I love some buttermilk cornbread. This is still a little bit thicker than I would have liked for it to be, but it's fine. It will cook up just fine. Well, I had a phone call and I didn't know that my phone was ringing, and I was just talking and I put the cornbread in the oven. So meanwhile, cornbread has been baking for about 30 minutes, maybe 31. I'm getting ready to take it out. And it has smelled so good. Yeah, buddy. Yay. I am going to pop it out on a plate. Beautiful. Perfect. Man, I almost wish I wasn't going to tear that up. Look at that. Gorgeous. So, you can make cornbread lots of different ways, and cornbread is the foundation for our dressing the Southern way. So, I'm gonna let it cool before I start crumbling it up because I really don't want to handle hot cornbread. That is all.